where the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sandopi hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Pileski goes, dives onto the right side. Very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys. Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Pileski. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. Well, now it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the lap car and around those at the same time. At the same time, he's got the inside corner. Will he ride the curb? Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Vito Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. The beauty as his right side will cook the grass. A 180, no, a 360. Oh. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernald. Gernald will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
A new season brings with it new names and new teams, but that's about it. Everything else here tonight is old school, as we welcome you to the historic Watkins Glen racetrack, where we're getting set to watch the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship season opener live on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hello everyone, I'm Samuel Ryman, and alongside me in the booth is Joe Peak. Behind the scenes we have our director Amjad Yamin, and he is using camera sets provided by Dougie Beard. In 1978, Mario Andretti took pole by over a full second in his Lotus 79 car here at Watkins Glen, although unfortunately an engine failure prevented him from making it to the finish on race day. Joe, that was some 40 years ago now, but yet this classic boot configuration still exists, and much as the name suggests, it still has that classic racetrack feel to it.
And I think that's part of what the draw of this track is still to this day for drivers. It's got mostly fast sweeping corners, 11 of them in total. The barriers are right next to the track in most places, and at least in this scan from some years ago, there's not much paved runoff. That's, of course, since changed in the real world, but thankfully for our Lotus 79 drivers, they will get to run these 28 laps on something pretty close to what the real ones experience. But despite being 3.5 miles or 5.5 kilometers long, because of the crazy cornering speeds of these old F1 cars, you're going to see some swift lap times. And all this comes together to mean that drivers will be on a nice edge, and races will end very quickly, even with small mistakes. But the best way to get a feel for how scary a lap can be with this combo is to hop on board for the GSRC Lap Guide.
All right, we've got Amjad Yamin in the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around Watkins Glen. Coming down to turn 1, this is an excellent place to pass, but it's also super easy to overshoot. It's downhill as you're braking, so the issue gets compounded even if you're only slightly past your mark. Climbing back up the hill, the draft in the Lotus is going to leave a huge hole in the air. That means you'll see drivers pulling someone in from a long ways back. There's no lifting all the way through these S's, and since this layout skips the bus stop, you don't touch the brakes until the carousel. That means a lot of swapping positions will be taking place down this backstretch. Best to pick your line early and make your intentions clear. For the banked carousel, it's a very fast entry, so the brave drivers will really reap the benefits if they can be consistent. With the high speeds, little incidents will become big ones in a hurry. After that, switch sides quick and set up for the chute. This is a corner where being able to late apex tends to be a better line, but it's tricky to get just right. After that, we come to the lowest part of the circuit at the toe of the boot. This is a spot where you might see drivers try to overtake, but if you can get a better launch off the corner than your opponent, it's very possible to get the spot back. This climb is incredibly steep, so momentum is your friend. And the heel of the boot is another place where passing isn't uncommon, so you'll get a good chance to outbrake your opponent. Watch out for the inside curbs, because some of the taller ones will upset the car very badly. By now, we're getting back to the main part of the circuit. The crest and off-camber nature of turn 9 makes it tricky enough, but on-throttle oversteer on turn exit just complicates things further, as Amjad shows here. Indianapolis has some banking, but even with all the downforce of the Lotus, it's not quite flat out. Finally, we hit the last turn, which has the barrier right at the edge of the track. Treat it more like a street course to save the car. Hopefully you've hit all your marks and have now finished a lap around Watkins Glen.
So that is a lap around the Watkins Glen Classic boot configuration. We're getting set to watch 28 of them. Let's talk about the drivers who will be battling in that championship. Currently the points look like this: 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, you know what? Let's just have a look at the final championship standings from last year. Give you a better idea of who are going to be the big names to look for in this series. And there you see Prix was the winner of the 2018 season 2 Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship by 34 markers over Nuno Moreira, once those 4 drop weeks were accounted for. 2 Brits back there in 3rd and 4th, Matt Wood and Lara Hughes. And then rounding out the top page there, we have Rucola. Also, they were racing for a team championship. The team that ended up taking home the Constructors Trophy, if you will, was Parmalee Racing Team Brabham. Now, these point standings only accounted for 2 drop weeks, and you see 2 was also the amount of markers between P1 and 2 there at the end of the season, with the Ligier there in 2nd place. A bit of a drop back to Williams, just 19 points back, and then Ferrari and Alfa Romeo rounding out the top 5. Now, the teams are going to be different this time around. For the next 12 weeks, they're going to be racing the 1980s team names and paint schemes. So still a bit of a retro feel, but just make it a little bit more modern. And let's give you an idea, Joe, of what these drivers are going to be faced with each race.
Yeah, as you mentioned, really nothing much has changed. We're in round 1 of 12 with this being official racing. Now, the good news for drivers is that they do have 4 drop weeks, just like in the official points, which they use for this series. The teams, however, because they have 2 drivers contributing, they're a little less lenient. They only get 2 drop weeks, so you really got to show up if you are going for that Constructors Championship. You mentioned they're out there for 28 laps today, and you should not expect any of the drivers to come into the pits unless something has gone wrong. They have no stop for fuel. It is open setups, and the setup does make a pretty big difference in this car, even though it very much is a driver's car. And you can get disqualified in this race. They can only have 17 incidents, Sam, or else they are out of it. But it looks like qualifying's in full swing out there now.
Yeah, and you just saw a new Pulsar there. We've been watching Antti Lepisto run around the track. Well, let's see if Antti's able to get it back from Geno. He is. But Geno Prix has only completed the first of his qualifying laps. If he can find another 10th and a bit, he will take that provisional pole back from Antti Lepisto. Now, you see, we're talking about these new paint schemes. That's why each time we keep jumping to a new car, they're showing up with a white paint scheme before our graphics finally update. And I'll tell you what, Joe, these are some nice looking cars out there.
I love seeing these classic schemes. It's really one of the draws of the Classic Teams Championship, is they require the drivers who are participating in that to put on these old schemes, and they just look beautiful, even on the Lotus 79. I know it's a bit weird maybe for our newer viewers seeing some of these schemes on a car that it wasn't made for, but I think they still look pretty good. Now, the interesting thing about Prix, Sam, is he was the one that provided this qualifying setup to everybody in the thread before this race this week. That shows you just how much these drivers care about just getting people out here. Is Geno knows that even if he provides a fast set, it still comes down to how you execute it. Well, we'll see if he can up his time and get it back on the pole here.
Yeah, you see he's dropped off the front row now. Nuno Moreira has gone second, and Prix goes to the top by 0.3 of a second.
Impressive stuff. He shows why he's so good season after season. Just incredible commitment through these corners. Now we're watching Urhola, the Finnish driver, try to see if he can get himself farther up. 20th might not sound by much, but Sam, we got a single split today. It is going to be stacked out there with a wide variety of talent.
Yeah, this series, this iRacing official series, goes split at 36 cars. So if there's 35 cars, you end up with one race with all 35 in it. If you have 36 cars, you end up with 2 18-car races. We are just underneath the threshold of that split. There are 34 cars getting set to battle each other. And that means, Joe, for our points contenders, even if you finish around 15th or 16th, you're not going to get as many points as you would like. So if these drivers really want to make this race not be one of their 4 drop weeks at the end of the season, I think they're going to want to be up there finishing around top 5 or 6th place.
Yeah, it's very much a double-edged sword because, yeah, you're not going to see as many points up at the top, but it's even more embarrassing if you finish low here. So really with everyone together, it's kind of both pressure on and, oh, well, I guess this one isn't going to give me as many points. So it's kind of, you got to make the best of the situation. But I think the grid is set.
Yeah, let's go through the grid here as the cars get gridded up on the front straight. Journo Frisch will be on pole position. Lined up alongside him is Antti Lepisto. The number 3 car will start 3rd, which is Nuno Moreira, and Matt Wood starts 4th. Martin Granberg in 5th and Alex Millward in 6th. And well, I guess not ironically, coincidentally, they are in the car numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the first 6 positions. Then we got Joachim Bodecker and Pablo Suarez in 7th and 8th, ahead of John Stevens and Mark Pickford.
Luis Baboni in 11th, followed by Adnan Dizdarevich in 12th. Michael Bolden in 13th, followed by Kevin Kolsch in the 14th position. Then in P15, it's going to be Stefan Beluca, followed by Derek Beattie in 16th, Charles Eric Lemelin in 17th, Glenn Corrigan in 18th, and Steve Sarles in Sarlis in 19th. Tommy Unhola will round out our top 20.
Then we go to the page 3. 21st is Robert Simpkins, ahead of Robin Bandgren, Manning Grinan, Barry West, all the way back in 24th place, ahead of Francisco Gutierrez. Richard St. John starting 26th, ahead of Andrew Jones and Thomas Hedgestorm. Johnny Bell and Christopher Keeble round out the top 30. And then at the back of the field here, Brett Bleak, who must have had an issue on his qualifying lap because that's way off the pace. And then 3 drivers who didn't turn a qualifying time, Francais Gagne, Christopher Michael Howard and Russell Hamilton. Let's go back up to the front of the field though, because almost all the cars are gridded up here with just 30 seconds left until the lights go out. And if you haven't seen a race at Watkins Glen before, boy, keep your eyes on this first corner, especially with a 34 car field. It's very hard braking into the turn, very tricky for all of them to get right. Even though there's a lot of runoff on the outside of the first turn, doesn't mean that they're all going to be able to get on through it without a little bit of wheel banning going on. Frisch about to lead them away. He's on the red car on the inside. Lepisto in the blue car on the outside as the engines are about to get revved up. And when the lights go out, we will be racing for 28 laps. Lights off and away they go. Frisch gets a nice start. He's got a whole car length over Lepisto. The outside line is there if he wants it. And actually, a nice start is the story of the field for the leaders. What about the centre?
I'm not seeing anybody coming together. Oh, now we do, actually. It looks like Derek Beattie and Michael Bolden unfortunately tangled and slid into the inside wall. We'll get back to it later, though.
Yeah, one driver starting from the pits. I believe that was Matt Wood. There was a change for second place. Now a change for the lead. Andy Lepisto was fending off Moreira in the first turn, but he's recovered from that. He's going to try and go by Frisch on the outside.
Oh, and we actually had a huge accident that we'll have to get back to as well that was a little bit farther up the order. But, man, look at these guys fighting hard, which is interesting to me, Sam, because the draft is going to have a huge effect down that backstretch. So if they stay close together, they're going to get opportunities, as it looks like second place just got tipped out of there. That was Frisch.
Yeah, he's able to hold on to it ahead of Moreira, but that's going to allow Lepisto to run away a little bit. So the top 3 have been trading positions a bit. Alex Millward, he started 6th. He's already up to 4th, so a few changes. And a lot of it, I think, is to do with what you just mentioned, Joe. Drivers who started behind other cars able to use the slipstream to their advantage down that long back straight.
Yeah, 28 laps isn't a hugely long race, especially after watching Le Mans this weekend, but it's still a race that requires patience. I'm surprised how aggressive we're seeing the drivers. They really need to just try and stick with the leaders and not worry about overall position.
So as the field comes around to complete the first lap, well, most of the field does, not all of them. Let's take a look back here, Joe, at what happened on the first lap.
Okay, we're going to see 2 cars tangle in the 90, but then into the S's, I need to go back and see who was involved. There was just a ton of cars. It was a huge pileup. It's just past here.
Yeah, Johnny Bell was one of the drivers involved in it, so let's see what happens to him up the hill.
This could have been a lot worse. This is a lot of level-headed drivers that saw what was going on. They got on the brakes here. You're going to see from above. This is what you need to do, because these walls, I said they were close. It's basically like a street course through here. And when it almost gets completely clogged like that, you have to come to a halt. You can't risk your race.
Battle on for the lead as we go back to live action. Lepisto trying to hold off Friesch, and Friesch knows he can't stay back here too much longer because Marira's right behind him. Meanwhile, some more cars spinning mid-pack. We'll go back to that in a moment.
Yeah, just to update us, that was Bandgren, Limelin, and Beluca that were involved in that. They just had an off in the chute. But man, these three up at the front are just super tight as they come back to Indianapolis here. And they've started to put a gap on Millward. He's got to be worried. He's got to really try to hustle that car to stay with this pack, because that's what this is going to be, Sam, is pack racing.
And for people who criticize iRacing's iRating system, as we mentioned, the top 6 on the grid were numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's where they qualified. So if you want to see who our movers and shakers up front are, just look at their car number. Well, Lepisto started second in the number 2. He's got by Friesch. And then I guess a big move there is Millward in the number 6 car running in 4th. The driver in the number 4, though, who started 4th place, Matt Wood, as we mentioned, he started from the pits. Bit of a pack here, back around 8th position. This is Mark Pickford trying to make a move stick on John Stevens as they go into the chute. Pickford does the desired inside line, has a position.
Oof, nice job defending it there. It's not easy into the chute because you have to brake very late, and it's a late apex into there if you're doing it right. But if you go just that little bit too far, you have very little room to save it around the outside if you start to lose it. And plus, you're going to lose a gobs of time. So you're very much on the edge.
All right, so let's talk about all the cars sitting in pit road with a lot of damage right now. We've got Stephen Beluca, Derek Beatty, Steve Salis, Robert Simpkins, Francisco Javier Gutierrez, and Brett DeBleek, who are all sitting in the pits with damaged cars, and actually Johnny Bell has officially retired. So those are the drivers who got a sour start to this 2018 Season 3 season, and are going to want to hope for more luck next time around at Sebring.
Yeah, you just got to recollect yourself. No spare cars in this series, so it's all down to how you perform on track and not making any mistakes. Now, coming up the hill, that exit on the first corner on the 90 is so critical here to how you do on this part. And you see, Friesch got a pretty good run on our leader. Is he going to look on Lepisto? He pokes to the inside. This is tough to wide into here, Sam. And I think Lepisto's the braver for this time around.
Yeah, it might be, Friesch might be a little bit more aggressive with a move like that later on into the race. We're currently only working lap 4 of 28. Now, of course, people familiar with GSRC's broadcasts of a Lionheart Retro series, where we race with a fixed setup and do shorter races with this, and we also have a pit stop. Tyres aren't a concern. However, I've got to imagine the tyre wear here at Watkins Glen, with these fast speeds that they're carrying through these turns, Joe, that tyre wear could become a concern if you're a bit too aggressive here early on. And actually, some of these drivers may even be struggling with the tyres right now, being a bit too cold, because we do have overcast conditions today.
Well, yes and no, as we watch this side-by-side battle out of 9 here. Pickford's still trying to get past Bodeker. They're going to go side-by-side through this penultimate corner, which is very tough to do. They managed to hold it out. Nobody's willing to give way. Finally, Pickford a little slow through the final corner, and Bodeker is going to get that 7th spot. But to the tires, they don't really wear out per se. They're pretty durable. It's more down to the fact of overheating them as Bodeker just gets an awful run through the 90, and that's going to put him slow up the backstretch.
Yeah, always dangerous when you see someone make a move like what Mark Pickford just did. Can't blame Pickford for it. It was a very opportunistic move and it worked for him. But boy, things go downhill in a hurry if they make contact. Boudica going to try and rebound, but he's got pressure from behind. Stevens may be passed by Baboni. Stevens is way wide in the carousel. Not only does he get passed by Baboni, but oh boy.
Dizdarevich.
Yeah, pronounce that for me there, Joe. He got by 2.
Dizdarevich from Michigan, of all places. I'm guessing that's a Polish name. But yeah, it's the interesting thing about the carousel there is there's so little braking into there. You'd think as fast as they go in these cars, Sam, that you can just outbrake someone. But that was a wise move to cover off the inside. Because basically, unless you're fully passed, it's like a game of chicken into that long sweeper that you're going around. There's so much banking and so much grip in this car as we switch to Matt Wood trying to climb through the field.
Yeah, Matt Wood elected to start from the pits despite qualifying 4th in the number 4 car. I don't entirely understand that strategy or decision, but he's kept it clean in the opening stages here. Now he's worked his way up to 18th place.
I think Wood had a disconnect early on, so he only was able to get back in time and wasn't able to grid up. So he's lucky that he's able to get out there without losing a lap, but we saw this in the Camel GT series. Sometimes fast drivers can come back through the field for a good finish.
Charles-Eric Lemelin has just taken a tow to the pits. He has a bit of damage on his car, so I have a feeling that's going to
that's a bit of an understatement.
Today. Yeah.
As we look on screen there.
Oh, he just pulled off track. Yeah, all we're going to see here is where he kind of aborts the rest of the lap. Something must have happened to him earlier in the lap.
Yeah, it was on the first lap or second lap, I believe, down into the chute. He just got tangled up with 2 other cars, and I think he decided that the damage was enough. He's not really doing much good out there running laps.
Battle for the lead, but Lepisto keeps it for now. Friesch trying to look on him. All these 3 drivers, I mean, they're all going to be competitive here, Joe, but at the same time, they've got to work together a bit because we mentioned they pulled away from Millwood, but only by 3 seconds. If they begin racing too hard, Millwood could come up and join this and make this a 4-car battle.
Yeah, and that's maybe why we've seen a little bit of circumspect moves from guys like Friesch and Morera is because they're thinking about Millwood. They'd rather have it be a 3-car battle than a 4-car battle, or even a 5-car if Martin Granberg gets up in this. Like they said, these are the fastest guys. These are the smart guys that are thinking long-term here. But we're only on lap 7. They're going to have plenty of opportunities as long as they just stick with the car in the front, which right now is still Lepisto, doing a great job going from a second on the front row up to the top here.
So Lepisto leading Friesch, Morera, Millwood, Granberg, but here comes Friesch. He had the better run, but once again, he's just not going to be aggressive about it as we're only on lap 7 of 28. 25 cars left on the lead lap who, and I'll tell you what, Joe, there is a chance, with it being such a large field, that lap traffic will play a role by the end of this.
Yeah, I would not doubt that at all, especially with how many cars. As long as this track is, with 35 out there, you're going to run into somebody, especially with the widespread of the field that we're seeing today. And this car is known for really seeing a large swath of lap times, Sam, because it's so difficult to get the most out of it. It takes commitment through the corners.
3-way battle for 9th position going on here. This was getting a little bit rowdy as they entered the boot section. Luis Baboni holding on ahead of Arnan and John Stevens at the back. So Stevens, of course, trying to recover from that mistake a couple laps ago.
Yeah, Adnan doing a good job of holding him off for now. And Stevens got to really kind of bide his time to try and figure out, okay, where is he weak? Yes, he wants to move forward, but you have to take your time to try and figure out what the driver ahead is doing. Where are they struggling? Where can I outgun them out of the corners? It's always easier to pass on a straight than it is to try to outbrake them, especially in this car. He's going to try it anyways, down into 1, and he thinks better of it.
Yeah, well, I feel like it's always pointless to try and make a pass into turn 1 here, Drew, because even if you do pull it off and get the spot, now the driver behind you actually has a preferred position up the hill here. think Stevens worked that out just heading into the turn, and now he's going to be able to get a nice round on this number 20 car. Yeah, there he goes. It could be a bit of a setup difference going on here. Maybe Anand has his car set up a little bit more to go fast down the straights, because I really thought Stevens was going to get a better pull than that.
Yeah, I would have thought so too. It could be, might have a little bit of damage that we can't see. You can have this car maybe set up a little bit too low and run over the bumps like on the exit of 1. There's a lot of bumps out there that can actually slow you down if you go too wide outside into that runoff. So something to worry about, something to be concerned of with the way this car really needs the underside to be perfect to get the most grip.
Behind this pack, there's another pack of 3 cars. Behind them, there's another pack of about 4 or 5 cars, almost, you could say. So a lot of these drivers keeping close quarters with each other. Actually, we have 1 car off right now, but it's a lap car going out the way. That was Steve Salas. Taking the old Bill's arm line, I like to call it.
Yeah, there's been a lot of attrition here that we've had at the start. I think mostly down to that big incident that we saw there at the front. Just so many cars getting caught up. I see Lemelin, Blick, Beluca, Simpkins, Bell, all just out of it.
Yeah, a lot of that, as you mentioned, happened early on. Fairly clean racing we've seen since then. Although, once again, Stevens trying to make a pass on Didferic back there for 10th position. But Stevens looking left, looking right. He really wants to break into his top 10.
Yeah.
And now looking down the inside at the bottom of a hill, and Adnan clipped the curb. Unfortunately, he's able to hold onto the car, but you don't want to do that too much. And now I think one of the reasons Stevens is getting a bit frustrated here, you might see Barboni in the number 16 car in 9th place running away from them a bit. In fact, Barboni will soon be battling Bodecker for 8th position. So maybe Stevens just wants to get this move done before they lose all of their potential drafting partners ahead of him.
Yeah, remember I said up at the front, you want to stay with the leaders. These guys have already lost that, but that doesn't mean you can try to make up positions. It depends on what you think your pace can allow, and also how much you trust the other drivers to work with you to rush up ahead. If you think that they're kind of the type that aren't thinking long-term, you might just kind of hang out and let them do what they do. Or you might try and even, if you think you can, push and try and get away from the draft as we take a look at the leaders. It depends on what you think you can do with your pace.
Yeah, and there it goes! Prix almost loses it!
It's so easy to do this out of the chute. You're pushing hard early in the turn to get on the gas, and you can see what he did is just dip the wheels off. He did a beautiful job saving this thing and limiting the damage. It's just the tiniest touch of this grass on the outside.
And Prix has actually apologising on the track, I guess, to Marira for making Marira need a change of underwear after the race. But I think Marira will quite gladly accept Prich's apology there, say, oh well, I'm in second now. So what's Marira going to do now that he's in second place? Because he's going to be able to get around on the Pisto down the back straight, I should imagine.
If I know Marrera, he's not going to go for it right away. And I'm pretty certain that Prix is going to catch these guys as well. Like I said, they cut a big hole in the air up on the back stretch. You're going to see Journo just get right up to the gearbox of Marrera. Probably, if not this lap, by the next lap, as long as he doesn't make another mistake.
That was Thomas Hedstrom you saw coming into the pits there with damage. We're now down to 24 cars left on the lead lap. And 2 of them racing 6th and 7th nose to tail. Pablo Lumbrera Suarez in 6th place. Mark Pickford in 7th.
Pickford's doing a beautiful job out there today. Now, I know he is the number 7, so obviously he's kind of where he's positioned. But generally, as he gets a run down the backstretch, going to look around the outside. He's a brave driver usually. How brave is he? not brave enough to withstand the extra grip on the racing line. So it looks like Ligier is going to hold on to 6 for now. But I really commend Mark for doing a good job in this race.
All right, we've had 2 big movers through the field. Christopher Michael Howard is up 12 positions from where he started in the 26th car. He started 33rd and now he's 21st. However, I know our good friend Bill Zahn usually disqualifies cars who didn't qualify from our big movers stat. So let's give it instead to Barry West, because we mentioned during the grid that he was qualified a bit lower than what we're used to seeing him. Back then 24th, he's worked his way up to 13th, up 11 spots from the start.
This is kind of Barry West MO, which is kind of my MO if I'm honest, is not being fast necessarily, but being consistent, just picking off spots. As wow, sure, no Friesch now that he's dropped back. He just set the fastest lap we saw on the screen. But Barry's doing exactly what I do. Just try to run your race. Don't worry about the other people around you, and stick it out. See what comes to you.
Well, then pretty much in the middle of the cars left in the lead back there, 13th out of 24 cars. Moreira has closed in on Lepisto back up front. I was a little worried actually for Moreira that Lepisto was going to be able to break that slipstream and pull away, but that hasn't happened. Moreira's reeled him back in and might even just be content to sit there for the next 16 laps, or maybe not.
Took a little peek to the inside, but I think that was more because Lepisto was slightly offline.
Well, look at Gutierrez, a slow car right in front of him. Maybe he was trying to use him as a pick. Wasn't able to work, and Lepisto offline again.
Oof, I wonder if Lepisto did overheat his tires a little bit. That's 2 corners in a row where he was offline. This time he hugs the inside into fence. Yeah, he definitely was trying to box him in there and trying to keep Moreira from having to go down to the heel of the boot. That was smart to see that lap traffic coming, knowing if I don't have to go all the way to the inside. I just have to place the car to where Moreira can't get to that inside line.
It must be said, Gutierrez isn't that slow naturally. He's just sporting a bit of damage from the early pile-up, actually doing a pretty good job at keeping his car going around, trying to pick up positions. What all that has done, though, is brought Friesch back within striking distance of his top 2.
Yeah, this is exactly what he needed. He wasn't catching up as quickly as I thought he was going to. And that lap traffic and that little bit of side-by-side battling, that's got him back to within 2/10. So now here's what I'm curious to see. Is Friesch going to push the issue to try and get himself into second, or is he going to be content to maybe ride in third? There's no pit stops. There's no reason to save fuel or anything. So it's all about where he wants to position his car as far as track position.
Well, before Friesch's big mistake, he had been getting a little bit more aggressive every lap, trying to make a move on Lepisto work. Each time around, he was getting closer to being able to do it. Meanwhile, Christopher Keeble has lost the connection, so now we're down to 23 cars left on the lead lap, and
Baboni! That was Baboni with a problem, and right behind him, car having issues on Hola. Not sure what happened there with Unhola.
I won't be surprised if that was Unhola reacting to Baboni's problem.
Driver error. I told you, it's right on the edge in that corner, and both Stevens and Dizdarevich did a beautiful job avoiding him because they were the first on the scene, had no idea what they were coming up to. Poor Unhola was in a battle. He just was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Woo! Didn't hit anything.
But he does on the way back to the pits, Joe. He had a crash trying to get the car back to the pits.
Disappointing. Probably get a little dirt on his tires. Maybe made an error, losing a little grip there. So that's going to promote Dizdarevich up to 9th and Stevens into the top 10.
Only just so. Stevens had an off a couple of turns ago, and now that's really push. What's the word I'm looking for? Bolt the cars up behind him here.
Yeah, they've accordion together.
Yeah, bunch them up. Barry West is now into 11th with all that drama. Can he get into the top 10?
Man, Barry West is on a tear. He's going to look around the outside, see if he can. And Stevens, no answer to him. He is just slow in a straight line. Remember, he had trouble with Dizdarevich. Oh, Oh, they get very close on the exit, and he's just come out alive. No, they don't. Oh,
It's Barry West in the wall. He'd been doing such a good job up to that point. And that's going to promote Matt Wood 2 positions, because Matt Wood had just taken a spot from Kevin Kolsch behind this battle.
Yeah, and Barry was an innocent victim in this one, just getting punted from behind when Stevens wasn't expecting him to break when he did.
P2 battle getting rowdy. Frisch, you were wondering, Joe, if Frisch was going to try and get it from Moreira. Well, he was looking on the inside down at the 90.
This is where they got to be careful, because if you can see, they're already losing a bit of a gap to Lepisto. Look to the outside when that gap was disappearing. He does have a run. Gonna have the inside into the carousel. I think he's lifting, though. Yeah, he's pulling back.
Yeah, he was too close to Moreira, quite frankly. He needed to back off a little bit as they were going up the S's so he could get a better run on the back straight.
I also think he saw that Lepisto is pulling away just slightly. I wonder if he's thinking long-term. Maybe he's going to play nice with Moreira and let him try to catch up to Lepisto's just so that they don't lose touch. We saw when he initially fell off, it took a little bit of traffic for him to get back into it. Maybe he's worried that Lepisto is even enough on pace with him that if they lose touch, he can't run him down.
It must be said, Barry West is still in this race. He's kept going on course. He's down in 16th. Now, we mentioned one of the biggest beneficiaries from his incident, though, was Matt Wood, who, after starting from the pits, has just gotten by John Stevens and has worked his way into the top 10.
Yeah, that Williams has just been scything through things. Next one up for him is Dizderevich. Now, Stevens couldn't get by, but we've seen how fast Wood is, having qualified in 4th. This might be a little bit easier. If I was Stevens, I'd try to hold on to the back of Wood and see if I can use him to kind of guide me through up there.
We're over halfway in this race now, these positions. Every position really starting to count. Even second position, where Frisch has a much better run this time by Moreira, but once again isn't going to make anything happen.
Yeah, keeps poking his nose inside. You're basically braking as you're turning into that carousel corner. So it's so hard to try and execute the pass unless you really want to push the issue. And like we said, we still have a few laps to go here, 12 laps, 13 laps to go. So Frisch, even though he wants to get up there, he doesn't want to do anything too risky.
It looks like Barry West is finally going to call it a day. He is in the pits going a lot slower than the speed limit should allow him to. And I guess he realized that damage is not enough to carry him to the end of the race safely.
Disappointed to see. Yeah, you can see just how much that nose is bent up with the way he slammed into the tires in the chute. As we take another look at our leaders coming out of the final corner. If I was Frisch, I'd really try to set myself up for the best exit out of the 90 here. Just back up the corner a little bit, get on the power as soon as possible, and know that that toe is going to slingshot me by if I get it just right. Let's see, he set another fastest lap there.
Trying to work out what these drivers' mentalities are going to be, Joe, with regards to the championship. But we know these three are probably going to be, as for Lepisto, he was trying to pick up a slipstream on Russell Hamilton there. Just went a lap down, but it's going to cost him. Moreira to the inside.
He's going to switch back at the chute. You can see they're still side by side. And look at how patient Frisch is being, trying to see how this is going to play out. Looks around the outside. They almost come together in the chute. Just managed to stay out of each other, Sam.
Yeah, I was very close. Moreira finally pulls it off. Lepisto tried to attempt a crossover there, but Moreira already had that inside covered. So now is Frisch, because I think this is the first time Lepisto hasn't been leading this race now. Is Frisch going to want to think, okay, I've got to get by him as quick as possible so Moreira doesn't get away? Is Moreira the quickest car on the track right now?
We'll find out. I think these guys are close enough on pace that Lepisto is going to stay with them even within the draft. I'd say maybe when it comes down to about 7 laps to go, that's when you're going to see Prix start to push and think, I got to be in second because I got to take advantage of this.
But going back to this championship mentality thing here, Joe, I know it's only round 1 of 12, but I mean, I've got to imagine you've got to you want to get off to a good start to the championship here.
You do have drop weeks, though. It depends on how willing you are to burn those here early in the season, how confident you are in your consistency. And you can see Lepisto in the draft, yeah, he's going to be just fine with Morera. He
it looks like, yeah, he caught him very quickly there, almost like this Lotus 79 had DRS. And I wonder if that's almost an indication that Lepisto might be carrying a little less wind than his competitors.
Thank goodness they don't have DRS on these cars. So down into the toe of the boot, it could be. He was already in the slipstream, though. These guys tend to go for the lowest downforce possible from what I've seen. Although on this track, it's a bit of a compromise because of the way that they've got so many fast sweepers. It can help you be faster in the corners. But I would want to be fast on a straight personally.
Would you be upset or intrigued, Joe, if they somehow got DRS into a Lotus 49 car here on iRacing?
Where would they put it?
Yeah, I would be intrigued.
I don't think that works that way, Sam. All right, more traffic here.
Yeah, the rear end of Morera's car was really stepping out back at turn 9. I don't know if that's a result from him trying to pull away too much, or if he does have a car that's not quite as stable as those behind.
Yeah, and like I said, they could be getting a little bit of under-tray damage that we don't see that could be affecting the cars. Oh, Lepisto looking very racy here. I wonder how badly he wants to be back at the front, because this is the second time we've seen him get very aggressive, follow him all the way down to the inside line. And Morera definitely feels threatened for him to go down to the right side, right up to the white painted line.
But they've already seen what can happen when they get overly aggressive. That's what happened to Prix early on in the race, and he almost lost it completely. Almost wonder, on a similar note, if that's why Prix is just happy to run in 3rd position right now.
Back in 9th, we got some action here.
Yeah, but this is a battle shaping up very quickly, even though they're a couple of seconds apart right now. Wood has just been running down Adnan.
Yeah, Wood's climbed through the field since he had that unfortunate disconnect. Has been impressive. Not sure we're going to see a win like we saw with Riley Thompson and Camel GT, but if he gets a top 5, I will be severely impressed. He's got a ways to go to some of those drivers up front. I expect him to dispose of Dizdarevich pretty quickly.
Yeah, so this going... Oh, and very quickly now, because Dizdarevich just made a big mistake exiting turn 9 there, and I have a feeling Wood, that's a bit of an easier last name to pronounce, is going to be able to capitalize on this.
Doing a great job, Bill. Don't worry. Oh, look at this, down to the 90. This is the intelligence of Matt here, just waiting patiently. He knows he's going to get a slipstream up the backstretch. Yeah, this is probably going to be easy pickings. Even if he doesn't get fully by him by the carousel, I expect Wood to be a little bit braver.
Oh, wow, he closed the door on him.
Ooh, I hope he didn't get any damage there. So that's going to make it a lot harder to try and get by if he's slow in a straight line after this.
Can't really place blame there, Joe.
It's always difficult. Part of getting that run up the hill, we're going to watch from on board, is you got to time it right and kind of predict where the other car is going to go, because they slide across the track to the outside on this right hand. You're going to see right here. And it's always going to be a closing wedge unless you're fully beside someone. Yeah, see, he's taking the natural racing line, and And unfortunately, Wood just called it wrong.
You see, Nuno Moreira just set the fastest lap of the race. I mean, if that was in the braking zone, or if it was the second time he moved across, then that's a different story. That's blocking and dangerous driving. But it was neither of those. It was both. It was the first block, and
Racing
it was on
incident.
the run up the hill. Yeah.
You're allowed to take the racing line. Now, you could question whether it's smart, because Dizdarevich, if he saw the momentum of Wood, could have tried to stay to the inside, knowing and seeing which way he went. But again, that gets into a little bit of mind reading. It's very tricky. That's why I say a racing incident, because it's just miscommunication.
So interesting that Moreira, who I thought was struggling a little bit, just looking at how his car was dancing around a couple laps ago, just set the fastest lap of a race. But yeah, it's not fast enough for him to break away from Lepisto and Prix.
Ooh, this battle's still going on. It looked a lot easier for Wood at the start. And coming off the corner, he carries the momentum. Nicely done. That gets him into ninth finally. That was a little harder than he probably expected.
And let's do a run through the top 10 as we enter the closing laps of this race. Starting actually, since we're back in 9th and 10th anyway. No, we're gonna jump up front here. Nuno Moreira currently leading the field around, as he just came around to complete lap number 21, ahead of Antti Lepisto and pole sitter Gernot Prix. These top three have pretty much inverted the positions from where they started. They have a full 11 seconds over Alex Millward, and Millward has a further 7 seconds over Martin Granberg, who started in 5th and is still running in 5th. So,
yeah, I'm sure they're glad to have a nice calm race, even though they like to be farther up. But Pickford has his car purring nicely out there as he sits in 6th with Pablo Suarez. Not too far behind, about 3 seconds back. He could still hustle and catch Mark. He's sitting in 7th. Joachim Bodeker, we saw him have a few hairy moments earlier, but 8th place, not bad in this big of a field with this much competition. We've been following Matt Wood's progress. I'm really, really proud of the way that he's been driving out there, but he's got to finish this thing up, and it's getting a little bit harder for him to make positions. I am expecting maybe 8th at most before it's done. Rounding out the top 10, Adnan Dizdarevich, your favorite driver, Sam?
yeah, let's round out all 18 cars left on the lead lap here, since things have calmed down a bit in the closing stages. John Stevens, he's definitely had an eventful race. Started in 9th place, has been in the grass, he's been behind cars, into cars, ahead of cars. Now he's in 11th position, ahead of Kevin Kolsch, who must have had a much calmer race, because I don't think we've mentioned him at all back here in 12th. And likewise for Manin Grinan, who's running 13th. 10 spots up from where he started in 23rd. Not as impressive as the driver behind him, though. In fact, this is very impressive considering it's a 34-car split. Richard St. John has a number 29 car. That means iRacing predicts that he should finish 29th. Well, currently he's running in 14th. Glenn Corrigan is running in 15th position, ahead of Robin Bangren. Andrew Jones is back in 17th place. He's also made up 10 spots since the start. And the last car on the lead lap, although I'm not sure how much longer that will be, is Christopher Michael Howard.
You think Grinnan is smiling ear to ear with 10 positions game?
You think he's grinning?
Sorry, I couldn't resist. The leaders getting a lot hotter, and interestingly, Sam, they're starting to drop off of Moreira. I think Lepisto and Prix are having a little bit too much fun back there in 2nd.
Yeah, they're not going to be having too much fun when they see how far away Moreira is here, because he has pulled away a 2nd. And I wonder if Prix is going to be the one getting a bit impatient now, saying, all right, mate, I think I've got the pace to keep up with Moreira. Let me buy Lepisto, and maybe he's even playing that card of, hey, Auntie, if you let me buy, we can run him back down.
Yeah, at this point, he definitely wants to be up in a 2nd. I said about maybe 7 laps to go. Yeah, well, the battling has started. There are 5 laps to go now, and it's causing them problems because Lepisto's not willing to give it up. Lepisto tends to be a big rival of Prix. Same thing with Moreira. So these guys very much, usually in the championship, they know that every position is going to count when it comes to the final race.
So Prix gets a run, has the inside, but Lepisto, I really feel Lepisto has one of the fastest cars in the straight line speed today, and subsequently able to hold off Prix for now.
Ferrari's doing everything it can on the Ligier, but just can't seem to get by him. Oh, a little bit wide on the exit there for Lepisto, but a good job with that because you saw Prix had nowhere to go. He was trying to get on the power, and right when he did that, that rear wing just rocked up in front of him.
Now 1.5 seconds or more back from our race leader. Something a little bit closer right now is this battle for 10th, and this could get dicey because they're catching that damaged car, Francisco Javier Gutierrez, right in front of them.
Yeah, and we've watched how much Stevens wants this spot from Adnan and just has not been able to do anything with him. Now that he's caught him, let's see if maybe he gets a little bit more aggressive with so few laps left.
Stevens has definitely, I would say, been a bit aggressive today, just considering the amount of times we've had the camera on him and also the replay reel on him.
Talk about impressive jobs. Look at the number on Adnan's car, though. He's number 20, sitting 10th today. I think this guy is someone to watch out for. His iRating's probably going to be going up if he keeps performing like this.
Yeah, only up 2 positions from where he started. He started 12th, so it shows he's good at this qualifying thing too.
I'm sure Wood would take a different opinion based on what happened up the hill a couple laps ago. All right, he's well within the draft this time. Stevens was struggling before. You talked about the difference in setup. If he does pull out this time and isn't able to get fully by, I think it's very clear, like you said, that he's got too much wing in that car.
Stevens, nice run down the inside. Let's see how much of a fight that car on the high side puts up. He does. And then still alongside him, they bam wheels on the exit. They get away with it.
Woof. Oh, and who was that at the side? That was Hedstrom.
Yeah, Hedstrom must have had another incident. He was already off of the lead lap.
Get away with that once or twice. These cars are relatively sturdy despite being a Lotus, but you got to be careful how much you make car contact like that, especially in an open wheel car, Sam. If those wheels touch, instead of side to side, front to back, you can pop the car up. Ooh, Adnan has another bad corner there. And
yeah, Stevens almost lost it. Stevens almost lost it though, right behind him. I wonder if Stevens was reacting to Adnan because the rear end of his car was really stepping out. If he hadn't had that moment, he would have been able to make a move.
And the other thing about coming side to side like that is you can damage suspension, even if it's just off a little bit. If you're driving right on the edge and you've got just a tiny bit of damage, Sam, the car can react in a way you don't expect. And that might be what we saw with both drivers, that they've got that little bit of damage and they found out, uh-oh, I can't quite drive to the level that I was before.
3 laps left to go, and the battle for 8th now shaping up. Joachim Bodecker, who started 7th, who's lost a spot from the start, about to lose another one because Matt Wood had a really nice run on him there. And it looks like Wood, well, he's got the inside line, the desired line. Does he have a position? Yes, maybe, no. He's going to have to fend on the high side here.
Bodecker doing a great job into there, brave on the brakes, off the racing line, and managed to take it away. And like I said, the higher Wood gets, the harder it is to challenge, but a big mistake from Bodecker is going to give an opportunity. What can Wood do into the heel of the boot here, Sam?
Can try and outbrake him. Down on the inside line, it might be hard to do. He could push wide. That turns a tricky one, but he's able to pull it off.
Beautiful job. Textbook move there into the heel of the boot from Matt Wood. If he can just keep Bodecker from slingshotting past on the backstretch, I think he's got this 8th place wrapped up, and that's probably as high as he's going to go unless we see a big mistake and 2nd place being swapped.
Well, maybe not. Prix has attempted this many times this race. He hasn't been able to pull it off once.
Pisto has really got a great defense. These two have raced so much over the years. They probably know all the tricks that each other have got.
Well, they also can, as long as they don't wreck each other, of course, they can afford to be aggressive now, because Moreira, as they come to start the final lap, Moreira's ran away from them by about 2 seconds. These two have about 13 seconds over Millwood, so they can afford to hold each other up a bit. We just don't want to see too much banning wheels in this final lap.
Yeah, all bets are off. Gloves have been thrown to the side. These guys are going to go all out in the final lap. The real question comes down to what you mentioned earlier. How much are they thinking about the championship? Do they just want to get this second place finish, or do they want to bring the car home? Both would be ideal.
Yes. All right, final lap. Nuno Moreira.
Stuck it in deep down at a 90. Sorry there, Sam.
And Nuno Moreira looks like he's got this win wrapped up, but this battle for second is where it's at. Not the only battle on track, we must make note. We'll catch up with all of them as they come across the finish line, see who the spoils go to in battles for 10th. I believe we just saw 14th trade place, but what about second? Can Prix get it this time around? Once again, down the inside, but once again, Lotus able to throw it in, and he has that desired inside line for the shoot. Or does he?
Oh, I was going to say, I'm surprised Prix did not send it up the inside. I would have tried to take him by surprise. It's final lap. You got to go for something.
But Prix, let's not forget, almost, as he throws it in there into the boot, that's going to hurt his exit.
Yeah, and that's really his last good chance. You can sometimes try passes into the heel, but he's so far back. I can't imagine him trying something into turn 9. Maybe he's getting closer.
2 turns left to go. 2 turns just left to go for our race leader. Nuno Moreira started third place. He ran there early on until Prix made a mistake and he got second, and he was able to make a move on Antti Lepisto, and Nuno Moreira is going to start the new season with a victory here.
That'll make him supremely happy. Prix had a good run off the final corner, but it just wasn't enough. Man, my hat's off to Antti on that defense. That was beautiful. I didn't see anything untoward all race long. Prix as well stayed within, good taste there on passes as we watched Granberg get a nice top 5. Those two, that was some fair, hard racing.
Yeah, it looks like pretty much all the spots in the top 9 are locked down. First battle we see, one more lap. Matt Wood would have got Pablo Suarez for 7th there. First battle we really see is Adnan still trying to hold off John Stevens for the final position in the top 10, and it looks like he's going to be able to do that.
Yeah, great race by Dizdarevich, holding off Stevens. Stevens probably is feeling a little bit frustrated after all that, thinking that just one driver he wanted to pass all race long, couldn't do it.
Well, we might get a chance to talk to him in just a few moments on the GSRC, because we're going to come back with driver interviews and a full race rundown. Don't go away. Well, we mentioned at the top of the broadcast we were going to see some new names along with new teams this season, and there were throughout the field was a regular class of drivers up front, though, putting on the same old great racing we have come to expect from them in the past. And at the end of the day, it was Nuno Moreira taking home the spoils by over 2.5, well, actually just a tick under 2.5 seconds over Antti Lepisto. Gernot Frisch was right behind in third place, ahead of Alex Millward and Martin Gramberg, rounding out the top 5. Mark Pickford in sixth place, ahead of Pablo Lumbreras Suarez in seventh. Matt Wood rallied all the way back up to 8th after having a blue screen on the grid, is what we're told. Joachim Bodecker fell back to 9th, but he came home just ahead of Adnan Dizdarevic in 10th position.
Hey, you got it. It's John Stevens behind him in 11th, having lost 2 positions. Probably going to be a little disappointed by that. Kevin Kolsch in 12th, followed by Manning Grinnan, gaining those 10 spots to get himself into 13th. Glenn Corrigan finishes 14th. Really didn't see much of Glenn this race. We had so much action elsewhere. Richard St. John finishes in 15th with a better run than he did on the Camel GT series. Robin Bangren in 16th, followed by Andrew Jones in 17th. Christopher Howard finishes in 18th position. Francois Gagne in 19th, and Russell Hamilton rounds out our top 20.
On the page after that, we have Steve Salas 2 laps down. Actually, I'm sorry, we got Barry West 2 laps down ahead of Steve Salas, and then Michael Bolden in 23rd place ahead of Francisco Javier Gutierrez. We saw him a few times going slowly, but he was able to keep on track, bringing home in 24th out of 34 cars. Thomas Herdstrom back in 25th, and now you get to the cars I believe did not make it to the finish. Luis Baboni, Tommy McAlton-Hola, Christopher Keeble, Charles Eric Lemelin, Stefan Beluca, and then our final 4 on the final page here, Brett DeBlick, Robert Simpkins, Derek Bealey, and Johnny Bell, who are going to all want to be hoping for a bit more luck in Sebring after being called up in an early multi-car pile up here. Well, looks like we've got just one driver who's walked into our broadcast booth for an interview right now, but it is our race winner. So let's catch up with Nuno Moreira. Nuno, congratulations on the race win today, buddy.
Hey, hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we got you.
Oh, great stuff. I thought I had this not well configured. Well, thank you very much. It was really a pleasure. This was one of in all these years, which are more than 5 and less than 10 in the Lotus. I think this one was one of the most intense races I've ever had, and I already had some pretty intense races, so this one was really special. Epic racing. Congrats to Gernot, congrats to Antti. Super ultra hyper well raced. I don't have words. Just a pleasure to race with these guys.
When did you realize that you could win this race? Because for the first part of it, you were kind of just hanging out behind Antti and Gernot. Were you thinking then, hey, I'm saving my stuff for later on?
Well, we can say that after the race, of course, but no, I was giving my 110% to keep up with these guys because I know they are ultra fast and my car was slightly slower at the straight. So if I lost contact with them, I would be in trouble, I guess. Maybe yes, maybe not. I don't know. It didn't happen. But the fact is that I was not saving anything. I was just keeping in touch, of course, taking it easy so that any kind of overtaking attempt between them, I wouldn't fall into that. And that was only my focus. After a while, and after Gernot had a little slip, I was able, and there was a bit lucky there. We didn't touch, and it was all good. And I was able to get behind Antti, and then I could see that I was a bit faster than Antti in the middle part of the circuit. So it was a matter of waiting, and in the end it paid out. So it was really well played.
Yeah, you were able to break away from Antti and Gernot in the closing laps there. So were you expecting that once you did get by them, that you'd be able to gap them?
Yes, because in the Lotus or in any heavy aero car, when you follow close, you lose a lot of front grip. So once I got rid of that, and I was able to do some clean laps, the turns in the slower turns in Watkins Glen became really good to me, and I was repeatedly making my best partials, and then in the end I could make a good space between them. But it was not easy. They were fighting hard, really hard with me there.
All right. Well, thanks for coming to talk to us, Nuno. We wish you the best of luck at Sebring next week.
Okay, thank you very much, guys, and keep up the great work. Congrats again to Antti, and congrats again to Gernot. Pleasure racing you with you guys and everyone else. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
So that was our race winner. We got some more drivers here to talk to, Joe. Starting off with our third place finisher, Jono Friesch.
Indeed, and we've pulled him into the booth, put it on pole, unfortunately, just could not bring it home in the same place. Jono, I know you shared your set with the group before the race today. Do you think, from your experience out on track, that you had a little bit more downforce than those around you? Did that make it difficult to pass?
Well, that's hard to answer. I think my downforce level was quite okay. Maybe Antti was running a little bit lower wings because he was really quick on the straight. I think Nuno's setup was quite similar to mine.
Now, you obviously lost the lead very early in the race. Did you want to get back up there immediately, or were you kind of thinking long-term, the draft is big here, I can maybe get back up there later?
No, my plan was to take back the lead immediately if possible. It simply wasn't possible. The three of us had just very similar pace, so it was a really tough race, and I think a real thriller to start the season.
Now, you and Antti continue to battle for second once Nuno had gotten by and he started to pull away. At what point did you start to maybe think, I can't get this win, let's just try and get second and fight as hard as you can with Antti?
In the beginning, I wasn't fighting with Antti too much because I wanted the two of us to be able to follow Nuno. The last 5 laps or so, we were dropping back a little bit, and then I started to fight Antti, and maybe even had a chance to pass him. It was not possible to do it cleanly, so had to be happy with third place today.
Well, it's a long championship, and obviously third place will still net you some decent points. Next round, we go to Sebring. Do you worry about the bumps whenever you go there with how low this car has to ride and how much the underside of the car is important to the grip?
Not really. It's a track where you really have to fight the car, so the bumps make it actually fun to drive. I don't think it's really an issue for the car because we've been there many times and we never had problems on the bumps. So things should be okay.
All right. Well, again, probably a little bit of disappointment, but you still bring home a podium. We'll see you next week. It
was a fun race. Congrats to Nuno and Antti. See you guys.
That was podium finisher Jono Friesch, the Austrian, being very pragmatic about this one. I believe, Sam, are you going to be talking to fourth place Alex Millward?
Yes, I am. Let's bring Millward in here. Alex Millward, we didn't get to see a whole lot of you this race, a kind of quiet race, but I gather the fact that ended up with a decent fourth place finish, you'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Gained a place on the first lap and then just was on my own for 32 laps, I think it was. How long was the race?
28 laps.
27 laps then, yeah. It was kind of hard because there was no drafting whatsoever. My spotter guy kept telling me I was 4 tenths down in the first sector each lap. And then by the end of the race, I went up to 7 tenths. And I just had no luck with any back markers, anyone who wanted to maybe pull me along. But they quite kindly just moved out of the way, which was nice of them. Come on, guys.
Yeah, good. So you got 11 rounds left to go in this championship after a solid opening to the season like that. I've got to imagine the championship's on the back of your mind. But what do you have to do to beat Moreira, Lepisto, and Frisch?
If I was about 15 years younger, in better shape, had better equipment, was born to a different family, no, I don't know. These guys are something else. I mean, they're a second ahead from 4th place. Maybe some of the midfielders lacking this season compared to past seasons. Kofkoff, Gerber brothers, etc. Vandenberg. But yeah, I don't know. These guys just run away. They're way too fast.
Well, for what it's worth, the track we go to next week, Sebring, being, much more bumpy and technical than Watkins Glen, which, honestly, as far as road courses go, it's kind of simple. Which kind of tracks do you prefer? Do you prefer the technical ones?
Yeah, I think I'm better. I'm not the best with low downforce. I think there's other guys that are much, much quicker than me. People that I'm usually racing other tracks, usually on low downforce, they'd be way ahead of me. Yeah, Sebring's fun. It's quite jarring in VR around that final turn, but I'll do some warm-up in the week and see where we fit. Probably the softest setup of the season.
Well, congratulations on a solid performance out here today. Hopefully, we'll see you on the podium finish here shortly, if not the top step of it by the end of the season.
Yeah, I hope. Thanks, guys. Good racing.
All right, and that was our 4th place finisher, Alex Millwood. Well, a few things different from last season, Joe, but one thing that's carried over, definitely some great racing out there.
I love the racing that the Lotus 79 puts on. It's that perfect mix of open wheels with high downforce, but you can race pretty closely with everyone, and also just really takes an incredible amount of skill with the power that this car has on just using your right foot well. It is genuinely one of my favorite cars to watch race on the service.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, though, we are definitely going to see, I'm sure we'll still see great racing over at Sebring, but it's definitely going to be somewhat of a different show there, as these drivers continue to battle for points when we end up in 1 week's time on the bumpy service down in Florida. Well, we got some people we'd like to thank before we hand our mics up for today, including the organisers and the competitors from this Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship for choosing GSRC and coming out here today for the start of another fantastic season. We would also like to thank all of the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts. There you see them listed on your screen. Additional thanks goes out to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde who provide us with our great music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Joe, Amjad and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, visit us at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also on social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel and Instagram at GSRC_gram. All of the upcoming races for our other series are listed on screen to check those out. Mark them down on your calendar and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.